After 150 years of travel, 3 colonial ships enter the orbit of planet Elpida. Their mission is to create a new home for humanity. Colonists born and raised in space are finally setting foot on the surface of a new world. The planet's atmosphere is breathable, the climate is stable, and there are no predators. The bioluminescent forests look enchanting, yet only a few understand that this world's outer beauty and peace may hide deadly threats. This is especially clear to those who bear the weight of the entire expedition's fate on their shoulders. Eliza Healy, the mission's chief medical officer, David Grass, the chief biologist, and Rachel Lee, the admiral commanding the entire expedition's space fleet. Day 1. Although Elpida's atmosphere has proven completely breathable, stepping outside without sealed suits is strictly prohibited. People exit the ships through a special airlock, where everyone undergoes disinfection with chemicals and intense ultraviolet light. This strict isolation is set for a minimum of 30 Earth days, but it can be extended indefinitely, until David and Eliza confirm that the atmosphere is biologically safe. Only then, the colony will send a signal to Earth announcing that Elpida is habitable. Both of them feel very anxious, clearly sensing that something is off about the planet. Even as they walk, the plant's leaves seem to turn toward them, subtly following their movements. This creates a haunting feeling that someone, or something, is watching them. But who? Week 1. Admiral Rachel Lee and her team venture deep into the jungle to explore the area. The map has already been laid out thanks to drones and satellite imagery. Their first target is a group of strange hills that stand out against the endless forest and jungles. The journey will take 2 Earth days by rover. The team is very excited. However, as they approach the hills, their euphoria turns into an inexplicable tension. By evening, some crew members begin experiencing panic attacks. Clearly, this is no coincidence. The rover's sensors pick up strange fluctuations in the air, just below the hearing threshold. This is what causes unexplainable anxiety. After slightly adjusting the rover's anti-vibration systems and active noise cancellation, the team gradually returns to normal. But where are these fluctuations coming from? It seems the planet is far more complex than it seemed. As the second day draws to a close, an extraordinary scene unfolds before the team. It appears these are not hills, but something else entirely. Strange structures hidden among dense clusters of purple trees stand before them. The perfect geometric shapes immediately suggest an artificial origin. Massive structures covered in moss and partly buried in local soil initially seem to be made of stone, but as they scan the walls, scientists and engineers realize they are dealing with a highly complex construction of composite materials. There is no doubt about it, an advanced civilization once existed here. It appears they were the ones who left the beacon in orbit. Together with 2 assistants, Rachel Lee steps out of the rover. An overwhelming, uncontrollable sense of panic seizes them. Struggling to move, they quickly collect samples, take photos and videos, and retreat back to the rover. The rest of the team is also very tense. It seems no rover protection can shield them from the strange effects anymore. They drive away from the site at full speed. They manage to escape this time intact, but are they really unharmed? Only time will tell. 2 days later, the team returns to the main base. David and Eliza begin analyzing the samples. Examining the symbols they discovered, David hypothesizes that the structure might have served as a simple utility mechanism for an ancient society that once inhabited Elpida. Eliza, on the other hand, is skeptical of the idea that the panic attacks were triggered by the object itself. She insists it's likely just a natural reaction to the unfamiliar environment after decades spent in confined spaces. Rachel is still not convinced. She is certain the structure poses a threat.
If this is some ancient weapon or energy source, it could destroy us all. We must be cautious. I don't trust this place, but I have to explore it further. Earth may have left us in the lurch, but I won't just sit around waiting for the worst.
After checking Rachel and her team's health readings, Eliza advises them to rest in a familiar environment. Admiral Lee decides to return to the orbiting ship for a few days to see her children. Her team goes back to the ship as well. The military shares their thoughts with others on the ship. Soon, most of the crew starts to believe Earth has sent them on a doomed mission. Team members gossip about being mere guinea pigs in a grand experiment, that their mission was to see if people could survive on a foreign planet, a test of humanity's resilience. The decision seems unanimous. No one wants to send data back to Earth. They decide to keep everything that happens a secret, as if cutting themselves off from the past and becoming rightful inhabitants of this new alien world. David and Eliza disagree with the idea, hoping that the discussion will soon fizzle out. After all, future generations would surely benefit from maintaining contact with their home planet and from knowledge about new technologies. But it seems no one is listening to them anymore. Week 2. In the second week, the military team returns to the base, but almost immediately, something unexpected happens. One of the soldiers starts showing strange symptoms: fever, weakness, and sudden loss of coordination. Eliza tries to understand the nature of the illness, but standard tests don't detect any known pathogens. By midweek, everyone who had been near the ruins had these symptoms. The situation seems threatening. Eliza enforces strict quarantine measures for all military personnel who explored the site. Everyone on the ships follows strict quarantine guidelines as well. Eliza barely sleeps, desperately trying to understand what is happening to the people. She blames herself for not thoroughly examining the soldiers before sending them back to the ship.
The ruins might be the source. A virus might have been dormant in the soil or structures, and our intervention could have triggered it. And why are we even calling them ruins? That thing looks disturbingly intact.
Week 3. Eliza and David conduct extensive research and discover that the illness is caused by an unusual form of RNA virus adapted to the human body. The virus seems to be learning, becoming more dangerous with each new host. Meanwhile, Admiral Rachel Lee grows increasingly restless, barely eating or sleeping. Whenever her fever subsides, she wants to go back to the ruins. She starts to feel increasingly suspicious.
How long are you planning to keep us all in quarantine, Healy? We don't have time to sit idly by. I need to go back to the ruins.
Are you willing to risk lives? This virus is mutating faster than we can study it.
You're going to keep us locked up until it's time to send a signal to Earth, aren't you? Or wait, maybe you already did.
Unlike you, I'm following the protocol.
By the end of the week, dozens of colonists on the ships are infected, and the virus continues to spread. The infected exhibit severe panic attacks, skin rashes, and fever. Week 4. The virus takes a heavy toll on the elderly, and within a week, 5 people died from it, including Rachel's mother. Confined in quarantine, the Admiral has no chance to say goodbye. She is overwhelmed with anger, shame, and guilt as the incidence numbers continue to grow. Soon, it is discovered that Rachel's children are also infected. Each new case feels like another blow, and the virus mutates incredibly fast. Rachel repeatedly pleads to be allowed back to the ruins, convinced that the answer lies there. Eliza tries to calm her down, but each attempt only provokes the Admiral to have new outbursts of rage. Feeling the growing despair and tension, David heads into the jungle, having a premonition that the colony is not going to make it. The thought that Earth has effectively sent them to die here is haunting him. As he moves through the dense foliage, moving farther from the base, he suddenly notices something unusual. Strange mushroom-like plants growing in the shade of the trees. Using a portable bioanalyzer, he conducts a quick test and discovers something that sends him racing back to the base. He needs to confirm the findings using the stationary lab equipment. Together with Eliza, they discover that the cells of these mushroom-like organisms contain unique ribozymes. RNA molecules capable of selectively breaking down other RNA molecules, including those of the Elpidian virus. Most workload is managed by the ship's onboard AI, Astra. In a matter of days, it has analyzed billions of organic molecule combinations. Finally, its calculations find the solution: the formula for a vaccine. The virus has met a worthy adversary, and humanity now has a chance at survival. The rest is a mere technicality. The scientists synthesize the first treatment and vaccine prototypes based on Elpidian biology. A new era of disease control begins with medicines derived from Elpida's native organisms. The first batch of vaccines successfully halts the epidemic, though the situation remains unstable. The virus continues to mutate, and a new wave may come soon. But it seems the Elpidians are no longer as helpless as in the early days. Meanwhile, Rachel, who is still in quarantine, is convinced that Elpidian medicines are toxic and refuses to take them. 1 month on Elpida. Once again, David heads to Rachel, determined to convince her to take the medication. He himself is now doubting the necessity of sending a signal to Earth and wants to have a serious conversation with her. In a desperate attempt to reach her, he brings her own children to the compartment, who have recovered thanks to the Elpidian drugs. He expected to find Rachel in her usual spot. The excited children began knocking on the glass calling for their mother, but she wasn't there. Something went wrong. David quickly takes the crying children away, trying to hide his own shock. He makes an urgent announcement to the colonists across the ships.
This is a matter of life and death. We can't decide on sending the signal until Admiral Lee is with us.
David quickly organizes a search operation and personally sets out to look for Rachel. He suspects that her disappearance may be connected to the ruins she was so eager to revisit. Dressed in special gear and ready for whatever may come, he heads toward the ruins. An ominous silence hangs in the air near the structure, as if everything around David has paused, waiting to see his next step. His heart races and a surge of panic rises within him, yet he keeps moving forward. Making his way past the constructions, he suddenly notices something familiar on the ground. Something shiny is half buried in the dust. Yes, it is Rachel's bracelet. He slowly picks it up, and a slight tremor runs through his hand. The bracelet had always been with her, a keepsake she would never remove unless absolutely necessary. He checks the surroundings. There is no sound, no trace of where Rachel might have gone. Where could she possibly be?